Okay, so now that we've gone over how to do a mirror, I want to talk about how to use the Revolve tool. So Revolve tool is really useful for making like spherical shapes or rotary shafts, something that is the same around an axis. So bowls, frisbees, like things like that. It'll make more sense kind of when I start showing you. So I'm going to go down, and in the same workspace I'm going to create another part studio. So down here I can click the little plus button and go up and click create part studio. So now it loads a new part studio, and I can right click on this, and I'm going to rename this as Revolve example, hit enter. Alright, so again, like I said, this is pretty useful for creating anything that has a circular cross section. So I'm just going to I'm going to sketch. Let's say we wanted to make like a, I don't know, like an O-ring or a washer or something like that. So I'm just going to select the front plane as my sketch plane, and I'm going to grab a center point circle, and I'm going to come over here, and if you can see, while I was hovering over here, the origin highlighted a little bit, and I have the horizontal bar that pops up. It's saying that I'm going to be locked horizontally with the origin. So it's good practice to do that, just to define it to the origin, that is. So I'm going to click a circle, and I don't know, maybe this is some sort of O-ring or washer for something. So we'll say it's pretty small. So we'll just go 0.1 inches. Zoom in here a little bit, and then I can go, okay, I have this selected, I've got my dimension tool, I'm going to click on the center of the circle, and then I'm going to go click on the origin. Now it gives me, essentially this is going to be the radius of my revolve, right? So let's say it's for a hose or something, maybe a hose is an inch across, so I'll say this is like ½ an inch. And now we have our sketch, it's fully defined, right? We're relating it to the origin. So we can now go up to the revolve. Actually, there's one other thing before I do the revolve. What I want to do is we need to give it an axis to revolve around. So I clicked on this, which is the construction tool, and it basically tells me that the lines or whatever that I'm going to create next are going to be used only as a reference, and they're not going to be part of a sketch. So what I can do then is I clicked on the line, and I'm just going to make a vertical line here and then hit escape. So I have a vertical line, and it's dashed, so we can see it's not solid. It's a dashed line designating that it's a construction line. So now that's going to be the axis that I want to revolve around. So now I can go up here to the Revolve tool, click Revolve. It automatically selects Sketch 1 because we had Sketch 1 open when we clicked Revolve. So it's now asking for the revolve axis. I'm going to click on that and hover over the vertical line we made. I can see it highlighted there, so I'll click that as the revolve axis, and we can see that it automatically went a full 360 degrees. So like this is good if it's like I said, maybe it's a washer for a hose or some garden hose. We can do a few things with this. Right, we still see the new add, remove, intersect tools. This is going to be new because it's the first 3D model we're creating in this part studio, so that's good. The revolve type is at full right now. So we can click the drop down and we have a couple different options. Full is just going to spin it a full 360 degrees, so all the way around. We could click one direction and then we can specify an angle that we want it to revolve it to. So maybe we only, for some applications, maybe we only want 90 degrees of whatever we're revolving, right? So we can go to 90 degrees. If we want, we can just type in, 180, 360, whatever. The symmetric, if for some reason you want to revolve two different ways. If I go 30, so I'm going to go 30 degrees, it's going to go 15 degrees on either side of this line. Okay, so wherever that sketch starts, it's going to go 15 degrees out one side, 15 degrees the other side, to give us our 30-degree section. So again, we can change that to whatever we want. The two directions is exactly what it sounds like. I can say I want to revolve it in two directions, maybe a different amount. Maybe I want to go 90 one way and 30 the other. Okay, so now what this actually does is it's still measuring counterclockwise. So from here, the way I have the revolve going, a positive 30 degrees would be right here, or a positive 90 would be right here. That's why when I typed in 90, it swung from this side all the way around. So what I could do if I want, I could type in like 360 minus 90, and that will just get me, if I wanted to go 90 degrees in this direction. Okay. You can also switch the way the revolve is going. You can do this on the one direction too. So I go back to one direction and have it 30 degrees. I can switch the way direction it's going to revolve. Okay, so that's real quick. We can just go full. All right, there's like an O-ring we made. Click the green check mark. Cool. All right, some other things we can do with this. I'm going to delete this so I can go down to part 1. And actually, yeah, I'll just delete it. So it's asking me, do I want to delete part 1? I say yes, I'll delete that. And now I want to create like a sphere, right, or a ball. So I can go and I'll click on the sketch button and then the front face. Gonna click here so we see it nice and square. And then I'm gonna go use the circle tool. Well, there's a couple different ways I could do this. I could use the center point circle, or I guess just to see a different method, I'm going to use the 3-point arc. So I'm going to use the 3-point arc, and it's going to ask me for two sides and then, or like the two edges and then the middle of my circle. So I'm going to go up and make sure I'm vertical with the origin, and I can see that's where one edge starts. I'm going to come down and make sure I lock vertical below the origin, and now I can kind of set where I want my center. This doesn't really matter right now, so I'm just going to click out here, and it's all blue, it's undefined. So I now want to tell the center of my circle to be coincident with the origin. So I'm going to grab the coincident tool, and then I'm going to click on the center of my circle and then on the origin. That moves that point right to the origin, so that's good. I can't revolve this or extrude it or anything yet because the sketch is still open, right? I have nothing, I have no line here kind of closing this off. So I'm just going to take a line, the line tool, and snap it to the top of my circle and then coincident on the bottom of my circle. There we go. Now we see that this region is shaded. That means it's enclosed and we can extrude it or revolve it if we want. And just for consistency's sake, I'll give this a radius. I will say it's 2 inches. Okay, so now we have a fully defined sketch. We have revolve feature, or we have everything's defined, and now we can revolve this. You'll notice I didn't put in a construction line to revolve around, because to make this ball, the line that we want to revolve on is like this this halfway point, right? So we can actually just select that line and it'll create the revolution around that point. So there we go, we see it's full, and we can finish that up by hitting the green check mark, and we see we have created a nice little ball. So one other quick tool I will show you is a shell feature while we're here. So I'm going to go back and I right clicked on the Revolve Tool and I'm going to go edit. So I'm going to go back in here and change this a little bit. I don't want to do full. I'm going to go just one direction, and I'll say I want to go 180 degrees. So I'm just making half of it. Okay. So if I spin around here, I can see that I've created half of a sphere, and I want to kind of hollow this out. So there's a tool that we can do to hollow out our objects, and it's called the shell. So we can come up here on the shell tool and click on that, and then it asks what faces we want to remove. So I always have to tell it one face that it will remove, and then the rest of it will hollow out. So this is our only flat face here. So I'm going to just click on that, and it automatically sets the shell thickness at 0.1 inches right now. And we can see now that this is hollowed out in our model. If I click that, we now have a hollow sphere, or half sphere. All right, that's it for the revolve and briefly on the shell. Hopefully that's helpful, and I will make one more video on the linear patterns and circular patterns.